welcome you all for the video tutorial on C programming for problem solving. So in the last session we discussed variables and the data types. In the last session we discussed variable name and the different data types of the C programming. So variable is a data name to store the values. So we give a name to the value to store in the computer memory. So when we're declaring or when you're defining the variable, we need to follow certain rules. The rules are the variable name must consist of characters, number and underscore. The variable name must start with a letter or underscore. The variable length must be less than 31 character. So uppercase and lowercase letters are different. Then keywords cannot be used as a variable name, and this white space is not allowed in between the variable name. Okay, these are the rules we need to follow when we are defining the variable name. Then we discuss the data types. So mainly in C language, data types are classified into three categories. One is primary data type. It is also called as fundamental data type. Next, user defined data type and derived data type. In the last session we discussed the primary data type. So all C compilers supports mainly 5 different types of data types. One is integer data type, floating point data type, void data type, double data type and character data type. So in data type size is the word size. So the size of integer, float, double is vary from one machine to another machine. The size of the character data type is same in all the compilers. So up to that we discussed in the last session. In this session we are going to discuss the declaration of variable. Once we design the variable and once we decide the data type, the next step is the declaration of the variable. So what is the need of declaration? Okay, before using any variable in the program, the variable must be declared. So before using any variable, the variables must be declared. So when we're declaring the variable, we need to use the data type along with the variable name. So we already discussed data types and the variable name. So data types we selected based on the type of value we are storing. So if you are storing the character, we need to define the character data type. If you are storing only a decimal number, we need to declare variable as integer. Then if you want to store the fractional values, the number which contains the fractional values, then we need to declare variable of floating point data type. So depends upon the purpose, depends upon the range of value, we select different data types. Then we decide the name. So the variable name must indicate the purpose of the variable. So for what purpose we are using the variable. So after deciding this, after deciding the variable name or after designing the variable name and data type, the next step is the declaration of the variable. So the declaration of the variable performs two things. The first thing is it tells the computer about what type of value it stores. it stores. Second one is it tells the name of the variable. So, what is the name of the variable? So, these two things these two things specified when declaring the variable. First, it tells the computer about what type of value it stores. So, type value along with the type, it also specifies size of the value or range of the value. The next is tells the computer about the name of the variable. Okay, these two things is specified in the variable declaration, or it tells the compiler about these two things. One is the type of value and range of value. Next is the name of the variable. Okay, these two things is specified when declare the variable. When we're declaring this variable, we need to follow the syntax rule. When we're declaring the variable, we need to follow the syntax rule. The syntax rule is, the first is the data type. When we're declaring the variable, we need to follow the syntax rule. The syntax rule is, first is the data type. Data type, variable list, and end with semicolon. Here, where V1, V2, V3, Vn are variables. Variables. So here variables must separated by comma. Separated by comma, and the declaration must end with semicolon. End with semicolon. So, the syntax of the variable declaration is data type, V1, V2, V3, Vn. V2, Vn is the variable list. Variables are separated by comma. So, here we select the data type based on the type of value we are storing. Example, if you are performing addition of two numbers, then the variables. So here I am performing addition of two integer values. So the variable a, b, and sum. B and sum. So int is the data type. A is a variable 1, b variable, and sum is the second variable. So here three variables are separated by comma and end with semicolon. If you want to find the average of these numbers, the average will be of floating point type. So float, I'll write it as a vg end with semicolon. Okay, this is the floating point type. So if you want to store a double type value, then double value, double value. So the variables are declared by using the syntax data type, variable list end with semicolon. So v1, v2, vn are the variable list. Variables must be separated by comma, and the declaration must be end with semicolon. Example, int a, b, sum, float, average is a floating point variable, and value is a double variable. So when you're declaring this variable, we must know the data types. We must know the data types. So integer variables, integer types. So in the last session we discussed integer, the three types of integer, that is short integer, integer and long integer. So in order to define short integer, we use a keyword short int, long space int. So these are the keywords we use for declaring short int type, integer type and long integer. If you want to define, if you want to declare unsigned short int, unsigned long int and unsigned int, we use a keyword unsigned, unsigned, short int, unsigned int, unsigned long int. Similarly, if you want to define floating point data type, we use keyword float, small float, double, long double, char, okay, char is used for defining character variable. Here also unsigned char. Okay, these are the data types we use for declaring the variables. So integer data types, short int, long int, unsigned short int, unsigned long int, small float, double, long double, char and unsigned char. Okay, these are the keywords we use for declaring the variable. Okay, next is the initialization, variable initialization. Variable initialization. The variable initialization is the process of assigning the initial values during variable declaration. So sometimes we need to assign values during variable declaration. So in order to perform variable, in order to assign values to variable declaration, we use a syntax data type, variable name is equal to value, So data type, variable name is equal to value. Example, float data type, variable name is pi is equal to 3.1417 and semicolon. So this is variable initialization. Okay, here we are performing two operations. One operation is we are declaring the variable along with assigning the values. So we are assigning the initial values to the pi variable. We are assigning the values to the pi variable. Okay, this is variable initialization. So we can also perform this initialization by writing the statement float pi semicolon and pi is equal to 3.1417. This is also valid, but this is declaration and this is assignment. We are assigning the initial values, but here we are declaring as well as initializing the variable in single statement. Here we are performing two lines. Initialization is one line and declaration is in another line, but in the variable initialization, declaration and initialization is performed in the single statement. So float pi is equal to 3.1417. Okay, this operator is called assignment operator. Assignment operator. So assignment operator is used for assigning the values. Okay, this is variable initialization. So variable initialization is the process of assigning the values to the variables during variable declaration. Assigning the values to the variable during variable declaration. So the syntax of variable initialization is data type space variable name is equal to value. Variable name is equal to value. If you are not assign the value to the variable, so the variable will contain unknown values or garbage values. So without variable initialization, the variable contains the garbage value. So if you use directly the value, your computation will give wrong output. So your computation will give wrong output. So before use that variable, you need to assign the values. We need to assign some values. Okay, this variable initialization. The next is assigning values to the variables. So we can assign the values to the variables during variable declaration, that is initialization. Otherwise, we can assign the values to the variable as we require. Okay, it is not mandatory to initialize the variable during variable declaration. We can also assign values to the variable, depends upon the purpose. So it is not mandatory to initialize during variable declaration. So you can initialize, you can assign values when you are required. Example, here I will declare a variable r and pi. Area. So I have not initialized any variables. So here I will read okay. Now I have declared three variables r, pi and area. Now here I read the value for the variable r. Then here I will initialize the value, that is pi is equal to 3.1417. Okay, here I perform assignment operation. Then I'll calculate area is equal to pi into R. So here I have declared variable at the beginning of the program. I have assigned the value in between the program. Okay, it is not mandatory to initialize the variable during variable declaration. So you can initialize as soon as you require. Okay, here I have assigned the values to the variable in between the program. Okay, this process is called assignment. So assignment operation is performed by using the syntax. Variable name is equal to value. Variable name is equal to value. This is assignment operator. Is assignment operator. Okay. Example here we discuss float, R, pi and area. So we can also write like this. Float R semicolon, float pi semicolon, float area semicolon. Okay, this is also valid. We are writing 3 variable declaration in single statement. The statements are separated by semicolon. This is also valid. Okay. The variable assignment is the process of assigning the values to the variable. So initialization is the process of assigning values during variable declaration, but here we are not assigning the values to the during variable declaration. We are assigning values in between the program. Okay. The variable assignment is performed by using the syntax variable name, equal operator and the value. So when we are assigning the values, we must be very careful when assigning the value. Okay, if your variable data type is integer, if you are trying to try to assign the floating point value, it will return error message. Then we must very be careful when assigning the values, because if you are assigning the values it exceeds the size, it is also written error message. Example, shortint. In the shortint variable or data type, it can store only the values in between 0 to 255 unsigned values, minus 128 to 127 unassigned values. So if the shortint variable is a signed type, you can store only minus 128 to 127. If you try to assign 300, it will return error message, because it will not assign 300 in the variable shortint, because 300 requires 9 bits. But if you assign 100, it requires only 8 bits. So when you are assigning the values, we must be careful of type of value we are assigning and the range of value we are assigning. So the value must match with the data type. So the values must be matched with the data type. Okay, that is about assigning the values, means assignment operation. Okay, the next operation is reading values to variables. So we are discuss 2 things. One is initialization and assignment. So initialization and assignment is both operations used for assigning values to the variable. Either it may be in the declaration section or in between the program. So main purpose is to assign the values. So this values assigned during compilation itself or during program writing. You must assign the values during program writing. But sometimes it is required to read the values during runtime. During runtime, the assignment and initialization is the compile time. So we need to assign the values during program writing, but sometimes we need to assign or we need to read the values dynamically during program runtime. So in order to read the values during program execution, we have an option called reading values to variables by using input function. So C supports a function, standard input function, that is scanf is one of the function. Scanf is one of the function. This function is used for reading the values to the variable. This function is used for reading values to the variables. Okay, here the syntax is scanf within double quote format specifier double quote close and variable list. Variable list. Now scanf is a function, is for reading values from the keyboard. Then format specifier. The format specifier specifies the type of value we are reading, whether we are reading integer value, whether we are reading floating point value, or whether we are reading character value. Okay, this is a format specifier. Then the variable list. So for to which variable we need to assign the value. So when you are reading the value, we need to specify the location for which variable we are reading the value. So here we specify the variable list. So the variable list must separated by comma. So if in case if you are using more than one variable, the variable must be separated by comma. Okay, example. Okay, now you consider there are three variables of different data type. One variable is of integer type, another variable is of float type, and another variable is of character type. Now I want to read integer number, floating point number, and the character. So in order to read the values, we use a function called scanf. Scanf is the function. Next is the format specifier. So format specifier, I already mentioned, the format specifier specifies type of value we are reading. So if you are reading the values in the order integer, float, char, then we need to specify %d, %f, and %c. So %d, the %d is for integer, %f for float, and %c is for character. Character type. So this should be within the double quote, then comma, here address of num, address of value, comma, address of ch. Okay, here the variables are separated by comma, comma. Here we are using operator called address operator. address operator is also called as ampersand operator. This operator specifies the address of the variable num, address of the variable value and address of the variable ch. So it will read the value from the keyboard, then it will convert it into integer, then converted value will be assigned to the variable num by using the address of the num. Okay, this is an example for reading value through keyboard. So here one thing you need to understand, when you enter the value through the keyboard, the type of that value is the character array. It is a character array. Then you need to convert that into corresponding data type. So to convert into corresponding data type, we use a format specifier. So here %d is for integer, %f is for float and %c is for character. Okay. Okay, here format specifier is also called as control string. Control strings. Okay, the format specifier is also called as control strings. The control string is different for each data type. So here we have used 3 different control string: %d, %f, %c. Similarly, we have %s for string, %l for long integer. Like that, we have different control string for different data types. Okay, this is about the reading values to the variables. So here we use a keyboard as an input device for entering the values to the program. So here the scanf is the function is used for reading the values. The syntax of this scanf function is scanf within double quote control string or format specifier, comma, variable list. The variable list must separated by comma. So here we need to consider the mainly 3 things when you're writing the scanf statement. The first thing is the order in which you specify the variable list control string. The same order we need to specify the variable list. Example, here the %d we have specified. So the first variable must be of integer variable, that is num. If in case instead of num, if you write value, it will return error message, because %d is for integer type and %f for float type. Then here we have 3 variables: %d, %f and %c. So here the scanf statement must contain 3 variables. It must contain 3 variables, means the number of control string must be equal to number of variables. Number of variables must equal to number of control string. The order you are writing the control string, in the same order we need to write the variables. So here the variable list is %d, %f and %c, means integer, float, character. Then the variable must be of integer type, floating point type and the character type. So the first more important condition is number of control string must equal to number of variable list. Variable list must separated by comma. The order of control string must match with the variable list. So if in case if you are writing integer, float, char, then variable list must be of integer, float and char. Okay, that's about the reading values to the variables using scanf function. Okay, let's consider one simple program to demonstrate represent the variable declaration, variable assigning, reading of values. So the program is Okay, the purpose of the program is to find area of circle. Is tdio.h, that is file inclusion, that is link section. Void main float r pi and area is equal to 0.0. So here I am declaring three variables. One is r, second variable is pi, and area is equal to 0.0. Okay, this statement is initialization. Initialization. So here I am assigning the values 0.0 to the area variable during declaration. Next is okay, this statement printf enter the value for r. So scanf is the input function and printf is the output function. So printf function is display the statement enter the value for r on the computer monitor. Okay, this function read the value. So you observe here I have specified percentage %f. I have specified percentage %f because the variable r is of type float. The variable r is of type float. So that's why I specified percentage %f. So here I am reading only one value. So I have specified percentage %f only one. Then after that address of r. So where I need to assign the place the value, I need to place the value to the variable r. So that's why I specify address. So ampersand operator specifies the address of the variable r. Okay, this variable assigning a value to the variable by reading the value from the keyboard. Next is pi. Pi is equal to 3.1417 okay. Here I am assigning the value to the variable pi. So I have defined variable here and assigning value after reading the value to the variable r. So here I am assigning the value to the variable pi is equal to 3.1417. Area is equal to pi into r into r. Okay. Here I am performing the calculation by performing the operation pi into r into r. Printf next is printf area of circle is equal to percentage %f. So here also I have specified percentage %f. Here the variable area. So area is of type floating point. So here I am displaying the value of the variable area. So area is of type float. So here we are use percentage %f for indicating the variable data type is float. So now it will display the value of area on the computer monitor. So in this program declarations performed. So in the declaration, 3 variables R, pi, area. So R is the variable for getting input. Pi is for assigning the constant value 3.1417. Area is the output variable. So after calculating the area, the value will be stored in the variable area. So area is initialized 0.0. So the initial value of area is 0.0. Okay, this is variable declaration and initialization. Next, we are reading the value to the variable R by using the scanf function. So scanf %f comma address of R. So %f is the control string. It specifies the floating point variable. Next, assigning the value to the variable pi by using assignment operator, that is pi is equal to 3.1417. Okay, this is the assignment statement, this initialization statement, then this is calculation. The calculation area is equal to pi into R into R. So after calculating the area, you are displaying the result by using the function printf function. Within double quote, we are specifying the string area of circle is equal to %f. So we are converting the value of area to floating point. So it will display on the computer monitor. Okay, this is an example program to illustrate the variable declaration, variable initialization, variable assignment, and reading value to the variable. Okay, let's consider one more example. Simple program. The program is okay, a program to find the addition of two numbers. Okay, this is the purpose. Hash include stdio dot h void mean a b sum is equal to 0. Printf enter the value for a and b. Okay, the purpose of this program is to find the addition of two numbers. So in order to find the addition of two numbers, we need three variables. So in three variables, first two variables are the input variables and one more variable is called output variable. So here we are performing addition of two integer numbers. So in order to define integer variable, we need a keyword called int, then variable 1 for input 1, variable b is for input, and sum is the output variable, and sum is assigned with 0. So sum is assigned with 0. The initial value of sum is 0. Next, we read the values for a and b. So you observe here, we are using two %d and percentage D, because we are reading values for two variables A and B. So two variables, so it must be two control strings. So percentage D and percentage D. So address of A comma address of B. Later we find the sum is equal to A plus B. After finding the sum, we are displaying the value, output value, by using printf. Printf sum is equal to percentage D. So here we are using percentage D. Percentage D is for integer variable because sum is of type integer. So percentage D. Now it will display the values of sum on the computer monitor. Okay, this is one more example program. This program will state variable declaration and initialization and reading values from the keyboard. Okay, the next important topic is operators. So operators are important. C language supports a large set of operators for performing variety of operations. So operator means operator symbol. It performs a specific task. So operator is a symbol. It performs a specific operation. So in C language, the operators are categorized into different types based on the purpose. So based on the purpose, based on the operation the operator performs, the operators classify into different categories. In C language, operators are classified into classified into 8 types. So in C language, operators are classified into 8 types based on the operation, First category is arithmetic operators. So here example, plus, minus, star, division, modulus. Assignment operators, example, equal, plus equal, star equal, etc. Condition operator, example, question mark and colon. Relation operators, example, less than, greater than, less than equal, greater than equal, equal equal, not equal. Logical operators, example, and on, or, etc. The sixth one, increment and decrement operator. decrement operators. Example, plus plus, minus minus. Seventh one, bitwise operators. The last one, eighth one is special operators. So, operators are the symbol which is used for performing particular task or specific task. So, based on the operation, based on the operation the operator perform, operators classified into 8 categories. The 8 categories are arithmetic operators, assignment operator, condition operator, relation operator, logical operator, increment decrement operator, bitwise operator and special operator. So, these operators also classified into 3 different categories based on the operands the operator use. So, how many operands the operator use? Based on that, the operator classified into 3 categories. One is unary operator, binary operator and ternary operator. So, operator also classified into 3 categories. One is unary operator, binary operator and ternary operator. So, here the operators are classified based on the number of operands. So, based on number of operands, the operators are classified into unary operator, binary operator and ternary operator. Okay, the first operator is the arithmetic operator. So, the arithmetic operators are mainly used for performing arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division and modulus operation. So, these are the basic operators used for performing arithmetic operations. So, plus, minus, star, slash and modulus operator. So, the arithmetic operations are performed on integer data type, integer value, floating point value, or it is a combination of integer value or float value. So, mainly arithmetic operations are classified into 3: integer arithmetic, real arithmetic and mixed arithmetic. Mixed arithmetic. So, in this integer arithmetic operation, only integer values are used for arithmetic operation. Example, int A, B, sum. Sum is equal to A plus B. So, here sum is of integer type, A is of integer type and flow is also integer, B is also integer type. So, all 3 variables of integer type. So, this type of operation is called integer arithmetic operation. So, next one, so here the 2 variables float R and area. R and area is of float type. So, here the value is calculated R into 3.14. 3.14 is also floating point value. So, this values output is also real value. So, this is real arithmetic. So, mixed arithmetic is so, in the mixed arithmetic, both integer values and real values will be used. So, here in this example, A is of integer type, B is of float type and result is also float type. So result is equal to A into B. Okay, it is a combination of integer variable and floating point variable. Okay, this is mixed arithmetic operation. An operator is a symbol. It tells the computer to perform mathematical or logical operation. So, operator is a symbol. It tells the computer to perform arithmetic or logical operation. So, operators are used to build arithmetic expression and logical expression. Arithmetic expression and logical expression.